session, I'll reference the daily chart. For those of you new in the room, I'll give you a quick overview here of the charts in a moment. What you're looking at is the NASDAQ. That's my personal favorite. I think the NASDAQ is pretty tough to beat for the small trader. But at any rate, here we go. Here's the daily NASDAQ, and you can see we've been struggling with this 7,300 zone. It looks as though we have broken through that zone on the overnight because we're trading at around 72.35, and it looks like we left off somewhere around 7,300, so a little bit of an upside gap. What's interesting is that we're getting some small bars with big volume again. Remember, volume is a relative indicator, which means that big bars should have big volume. Small bars should have small volume. Today's session are big volume. So that tells us something's going to happen. That tells us traders are lined up on one or the other. Right now, it's difficult to tell which, but in a downtrend for the bottom end of what is likely to become a sideways trading range. A quick overview here for new people in the room. We've got the diversified trading system along. So I've got the 4 charts, the top micro scalper, top right Falcon swing is the Eagle trend trader. Those are the diversified trading system. And then here on the bottom right, we have the Raptor, which is incorporates elements of the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Eagle. You can see here on the Eagle, it looks like the overnight was relatively sideways. When did that it looks like that decline came mostly through the Asian session. The market closed, hovered there for a little bit. The Asian session opened, and then the market started to unwind to the short side. And here we are now with a very, very broad sideways trading range. Okay, let's put that away. Range. So a lot of times I'll have a tendency to give the market a little bit of room out of the open. Let them settle in. See whether they're going to try to fill that gap or not. I halfway suspect they will. Here the Hawk is already bullish. You can see we've got the first micro macro cross signal on the Hawk. The Eagle's given us, or the Falcon's giving us a trend change signal as well. We're bouncing off of that primary support zone. That's that blue line. You could do a second push entry here, and all that means is that we allowed the signal to engage. So here's the signal. Right there's our trend change signal. We allow the signal to engage, and then we see where the market reacts. And now this will become our signal bar. So we'll look to buy if the market gets above there. But alas, the trend line has changed color again, so that's kind of spoiled that signal. And if anything, it looks like the buyers are not strong enough to resume the uptrend. I might try a short signal. Ooh, here we go. Let's take a look at the Raptor. Here's a signal to short. This is just a follow-up signal from the number 3 signal. I'm going to get my out of the way for the time being. Remember, are live when you put them on your chart. And so let me bring that back down now. Looking for a little early momentum here. Just a modest little move. The Bollinger Band suite is in sync with the Raptor bands. Oh dear, are they not ready to commit yet? Stinkers. Okay, here we come with another hard edge bounce signal. That's the number 3 signal. It's a continuation signal. So whenever you get those, you always have to ask yourself, continuing. There needs to be a trend before you continue, right? If you're looking left and all you see is sideways, you know, these number 3 signals, there's no trend really to continue. I'm hoping that this is an emerging trend. Okay, last chance for the sellers. If I can get a couple of bearish bars in my favor, I will start to roll my stops down. All right, there we go. In a little bit, they've got to start to take out this low or the market will turn and head higher. There we go. There's a good. As the trade gets about 3/4 of the way to the profit objective, I will roll my stops into. I'm going to get ready with that. And come on. You can do it. Come on. I'll roll them to break even. They're hesitating a little bit. Giddy up. You can do it. There we go. Come on. Yay. All right. Remember to cancel your other order. And it looks like maybe it's going to spill through momentum. Next support zone down here at 72.02 3/4. That would be a very healthy move. But set a good example for everyone. So I took profit on target. Wow, look at that. Great little follow through there. Remember though, it's not, when you're trading, it's not a matter of finding more. It's even not finding those big home run trades, although rather it's an instance of finding a high probability and opportunity and then capitalizing on it correctly. So it was just $100 move. It's $100 move with a single contract. If I was trading 2 contracts, 300, 5 contracts, and so on it goes. The money is in the multiples, but not in the multiple of trading. Okay, looks like they're maybe trying to form a little bit of the bottom now. You know, that nailed down every single signal is something that a lot of traders get stuck on, and then they wonder why they can't make any money. But maybe trading is just a hobby for them. I'm only halfway kidding when I say that. A lot of people who trading seriously, they just treat it more like a video game. All right, getting a little bit of a bullish pushback. All right, well, it looks as though there are a couple of buying here. I'm still maybe a little more bent toward the short side, although look at that, we're still right in the midst of this rather broad sideways trading range. All right, well, the sideways chop continues. The market slowly working itself into a bit of a corner. When it goes back and forth like this, it's going to very likely end up breaking or the other. And within this right now, here the hawk, because we're, or so it seems, very nice first micro Well, that would probably be the easiest one to take advantage of. Okay, and now a little bit of a swing. When I see the market doing this kind of thing, I'm always looking at the test and retest. By that I mean, okay, top end of the trading range, and this is the bottom end of the trading range. We've just come up and we tested the top end of the trading range. We didn't break it. Normally what we look for is we look for a breakout. Normally what we look for is a breakout, a retest, and then evidence that the market's going to go higher. Likewise, to the short side, a breakout, a retest, and evidence that the market will go lower. Once we have the breakout and the retest, well, now we can start to throw in our just in case order to sell. When you get these sideways ranges developing, depending how aggressive you are on this, you could already get your just in case order to buy up here. Why? Well, it was an attempted breakout. It's almost the same, and I'm using air quotes when I say almost. It's almost the same as seeing the market actually break out and retest. If the buyers can recover the market at this point, they will need to take out this high. If they fail to recover the market at this point, well, then we're going to see a retest to the short side. Eventually what ends up happening is you get these type formations. And those allow you to become a little bit more aggressive with your sides. Careful though, you don't want to place an order just because you're bored. All right, so I'll park my just in case order to buy up there. You could put your just in case order to short down below the low. Oh, here come the buyers. Let's see if we get a better signal opportunity on one of the other tools. Well, here the Raptor gave us a nice little uptick on the number 2 signal. That definitely gave us an earlier opportunity here. Should do is I should also set my profit target. Because this is technically counter trend, it's not the kind of trade that you'll likely run out, although, you know, if they break topside, there is that opening gap to fill. I don't want to get too aggressive on the longs, not yet anyways, not until I know that the buyers are going to make a stand. Until then, it's probably more a bear market. Okay, well, how aggressive do we want to be? The trading band very, very flat. We are back into the hard edge, which is where we typically expect a reaction. Okay, if the market turns up a little bit from here, I will consider the pendant that we were just talking about. And I will throw a just in case order to sell. Make sure I select the right order. Below there. And we'll look at getting our 5 points. There we go. Okay, so now I have the market bracketed. And it keeps flip-flopping. Those are my just in case orders. Now keep an eye on something a little bit more promising. Once again, you can just see how flat everything is. Look, the hawk is nothing but yellow bars. Got all these yellow bars clustering. It keeps waffling. The raptor, the trading band, is very, very flat, and the eagle band is very flat. Ron's asking, what's the difference between hollow and the solid bars? Excuse me a moment. Okay, the solid and hollow bars are and the raptor. They mean the exact thing. Body bar means that the price closed above where the bar opened. A solid body bar means that the price closed below where the bar opened. So here on the eagle, you can see we've got green bars with solid bodies. All that means is that the closed below its open. All right, let's turn the chart trader back on. Ooh, I guess I better bring this stop in. Generous. So the bar is red or green based on the algorithm, whether the considers the market to be more bullish or bearish. And then the body itself will print relative to the close relative to the open. Oh, we're trying. Oh, come on now. Be unreasonable to see the market try to retest the bottom end of. But they are waffling a little. Not liking that. Oh dear, back to the hard edge. Come on, sellers, where'd you go? Oops. All right. I'm going to give them here. Now, typically I don't reverse on my positions, but if it doesn't lower, it probably is going to want to go higher. And I have to reference my support and resistance suite. And at this point, I would be swinging for the fences. So let's to the median line. If in fact the scoundrels stop me out. I guess I could have taken the number one signal. That would have been an earlier opportunity to get on board here. Might have had better results with that. I should point out that in a sideways market, it is always risky to reverse on your order. The logic is that the market has no trend. So why am I trying it? Well, watching the market tried to go lower here, tried to go lower here. So far, they're unsuccessful heading lower. Reach this high, they're probably at least going to try for this high. And if they breach high, well, then they're probably going to try to fill the gap. All right, so I got tagged out. I need to place a new stop loss order. You gotta try to keep your head when all this is going on. Oh, look at that. Well, you can see now why it's not a good idea to try to or buy in the market. I'm going to try to give this trade a fair chance and leave the proper stop. This shows you why I typically keep my stop back as well. So there's swing one, two. I don't consider minor little swing. I wouldn't say, oh, well, that's swing one, that's swing two. No, you got to look at a major turn. What's a major turn? Well, it's the one that jumps out at you. So I would call that one, two, and have a tendency to in the first stop or the first swing, pardon me. But unless it's a true, it very likely will not find the second one. So now here is swing one, two. This is where my is at now. So I'm trying to, my stop at least is in the correct place. If I get tagged out here, well then I'm rest assured I'm definitely on the wrong side of the position. You can see too why it's not to your advantage to market too many times. All right, so we've produced a number one signal on the long side. We're now producing the hard edge bounce, a number three signal. Once again, yes, it's a number three signal. It's a hard edge bounce. There's not really that much of a trend to continue at this point. So you have to always take these signals in context. look at that. They keep going up there and they keep rejecting the high. Although, like I said, if we can get it right here, we should see the market try to retest at the previous in here, the median line. All right, let's. Okay, I'm trying to ride this one out a little bit, but it's probably prudent to get the stops to break even at this point. We got a fair amount of profit, and they tagged me out. And that little hiccup, it's okay. Well, the good news is that nice little, the other law. So if I'm having a 3-trade quota, my day, I've put in my 3 trades. I'm profitable on the day. Now I pack up my toys and go do something else. You can hopefully see too how important it is to the better opportunities. When the market was sideways like it was really tough trading, took a signal, guessed the market, didn't work. But then when you wait for a better opportunity, you tend to get a better result. Funny how that works. Well, strong move. So we blew right past the median line right here. Phil, if I think you're asking about the Bollinger Band bottom, hold on one second. I will show you where you can get. I find it a very helpful filter. A lot of times signals and you're wondering, should I take it? Shouldn't I take it? You'll find that the ones that are in sync with the Bollinger Band suite will have a better working out. So you can get a warehouse and you can type in Bollinger Suite under the little search icon and the one right here, the Bollinger Suite with divergence. And you all different Bollingers. It has auto, but I turn those off. All right, so there's your Bollinger Band suite. All right, so a decent run up. We haven't quite filled that opening range gap, I don't think. Market left off at around 7,300 yesterday. And we are, I guess, almost halfway. Gap. Ron's asking, can you give a brief explanation how to use the Bollinger Band suite? Absolutely. I did a very thorough explanation a couple of months back on one of our rabbit questions. But essentially, what we're doing here is the Bollinger suite, I found when it's in sync with the signals, it will have a tendency to have better follow through, giving you a little in the signal. Excuse me. For some reason, I'm awfully hoarse this morning. Okay, so let's take a look here at, well, here we have a number one, the Bollinger suite. And you can see we did not follow through on that. Here's a number 3 signal to sell, but it's not in sync with the Bollinger suite. It will help if I make this a little bigger. All right, so we have a number 3 signal to sell, but it's not in sync with the Bollingers. A number 1 signal to buy. The Bollinger suite is bearish. Here we have a number 3 signal to sell. It doesn't come into sync here, so the signal actually produced off of the second set of signals, and that one had some follow through to it. I tend to avoid counter trend or I try to signals. But here is one the Bollingers were very bullish on, and yet it did not go very high. Let's see if we can find another one. Here's a number one signal to buy, but once again, the Bollingers were more neutral. Let's see if we can find a signal or two that actually worked out. Well, here's a counter trend signal. I just told you counter trend signals, but here's a counter trend in sync with the Bollingers, and it had some decent follow through too. And that when it crosses the zero line, it seems to add a bullishness or bearishness as well. If it's above the zero line, it tends to be more bullish. Below the zero line, more bearish. Here we go. Here's a signal. It was flip-flopping for a little, actually in sync. Then it was flip-flopping a little bit, and it came back in sync over here. So you took some heat, nothing too terribly serious, and then it finally went higher. What I have a tendency to do, if I had bought in at this time, once again, so let's here, we'll buy in here. Stops ideally 2 swings back. When I see the market, the bull to dip below the other side of the channel, that's when I start to bring my stops up. So it dipped below here, right here. So I would, if my initial stops were, I would definitely bring them up. When it dipped the second, I would probably start to get more aggressive with my stops in an attempt to minimize my exposure. And fortunately, in this case, the market did eventually go a little bit higher. Like I said, I was so impressed with it from our Rabbit Hole Friday that I just left it on my charts. And if you go through the YouTube channel, here I think it was back in May. Check your Fridays in May. Here's a number one signal. It was in sync with the Bollinger Suite. It's below the zero line. And you know, it wasn't a home run trade, but it's certainly enough, more than enough to find your high probability profit objective. And it works the same on the other tools as well, although I have to say I've probably found it most responsive everything but the hawk. And it's not picking on the hawk, it's just the hawk sometimes produces so many signals. Although, you know, maybe I spoke too soon. Here's a nice first micro macro cross. We're above the zero line. Nice in sync right here on the next bar. And very good follow through on that. This was already very, very bearish by the time this, well, I guess the first micro macro cross signal is right there. Well, it wasn't in sync with the first micro macro cross. It did speak too soon. You can see the Bollinger Suite was moderately bullish here. Micro macro cross signal to sell printed. Likewise back here, macro pullback short, but the Bollinger Suite is bullish. See down here? And the end result is that the market actually flipped. Okay, so I take that back. It does work with the Bollinger Suite as well. In fact, we'll try one right now. It looks like we're going to get a little first micro macro cross up. So the Bollinger's already bullish, making me attentive to the possibility. And where's my signal? Stinkers. Okay, there's my warning. Bollingers are still. I'm going to throw the right there and just anticipate it. I've got the warning dot. There's the hash mark. Okay. Bollinger still in sync. We'll double down on this one. All right, let's see if we can get our load out of this one. Uh-oh, what did I break? Oh, okay, we're back. Truer words were never spoken. Keith says, it's not a matter of me looking for a done trade. It plays a big part, and I love it when it happens. You know, patience is the hardest thing for picking your moments. All right. Hopefully my microphone, couple of comments on my note. I do have to mute it from time to time. I'm having a bit of a coughing fit here this morning. All right, so the Bollinger toward the bottom end, so I'm going to be a little bit more attentive with my stop. If my stops swings back, swing one, swing two, I would probably consider bringing them up at this point, at least a little bit. Here we go with the sideways stuff. Okay, so the Bollinger Suite again. So at this point, I'm going to become a with my stop still. And as if we can approach about 75–80% of the profit objective, I will roll my stop. So I'll get ready for that. Just need one more bullish bar. Where are you guys? Oh, we're fading. Okay. Well, you know, did not go, kind of fading a little bit here, some of our momentum. But you can see how you can employ the Bollinger Band Suite to your trades. days like today are a little tricky. It's the has been, you got that big move down in the overnight. Does that make the market more bearish today? With a reasonably big upside. So does that make the market more bullish? Oh, a little bit more back and forth. All right, a bit lower now. Back into the hard edge. We'll see whether the buyers step up here on the hard edge, both on the after. The Hawk and already bearish, so we're getting a little bit of a conflict. That's all just dropped. Okay, it's back. Well, they faded through the hard edge of the trading band, so not quite the recovery I was. Just watching and waiting. Well, things have quieted down here. Not much to talk about. It out. There's almost a rule of three here on the eagle. We've got an early trend change building here in the Raptor. All right, and here we're going to produce a trend change signal on the Falcon as well. Don't have the signal yet, just anticipating that a signal should print. All right, maybe not. Let's put that away. Okay, we've got a number one signal here on the Raptor. We have a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon, both of which are high probability signals. I think what I would be inclined to do, however, is incorporate a second push opportunity. And all that means is I've allowed the signal to, now I'm going to look for, well, I've got just the one bar higher. Ideally, I'd like to see two bars. And that would confirm the strength of this support zone. There we go. There's bar. Now, if we trade below here, and let me just adjust that below this low, I be a more viable, more. right. And what time is it? Oh, it's almost the end of the trading session. Why don't we try to run this one out here to the primary support zone? Oop, I got to bring my exit orders in. Can't forget about those. So I'll get the trade to break even. And now as we're getting closer to the profit objective, I'm going to squeeze the trade a little harder. All right, don't forget to cancel your other order. Hooray! Well, that was a decent little trade. Nice way to finish off the morning. All right, gang. Why don't we? It's a couple of minutes to the top of the hour. If you're going to continue trading today, wow, expect more of this sideways nonsense, this sideways back and forth. That seems to be the way the market is setting up today. So be careful out there, and I will touch base with you. We'll talk to you soon.